Shalom and welcome to our next chapter of the inner life of love and relationships. We began our exploration of how we augment and access love last time when we explored the nature of speech as this most primal and basic power of our existence, that which actually enables us to bond with others when that speech is based on de'ah, as we saw last time, an opened consciousness which moves beyond boundaries, where speech then becomes the medium through which those who have grown to desire to include another in their lives have an access point through the speaking, which enables that. And there are other levels, obviously, to explore there. And there's much practical work to be done there in terms of speaking, listening, what we say, what we don't say. And over more time, perhaps, we'll be able to go back and explore that either in the form of a course or a seminar or however we are going to be proceeding. But right now, I want to move ahead since these teachings and meditations have their practical import. They definitely do, and we're going to continue in that vein also today. But there are also a great deal of wisdom, Jewish wisdom here about the nature of relationship, and so we're combining those, and therefore I'm moving on now into a new level for us to explore in the nature of the relationships that we so dearly desire, the relationship of love. And specifically, and this is really what we've been exploring, specifically in the context of a covenant of marriage. Love has many expressions, many avenues, many aspects, but we're here now for the particular aspect that I just described. It's going to be applicable in all kinds of relationships you have where you're seeking to augment the love aspect of them, but I'm becoming a bit more specific. Today's class won't really be as relevant as it will be in upcoming ones, but that's the path we're now taking. So, in the course of our spiritual history, we've had great teachers. We've had Avraham, we've had Yitzchak, Isaac, we've had Yaakov, Jacob. We have him himself, Jacob, in a sense splitting into two, Jacob and Yisrael. These are our teachers that are not only teachers that bring out a wisdom by virtue of having books and teachings that they share verbally, much less about that and more their stories. And the Zohar and our inner readings of the lives of these human beings become access points for us to understand more deeply the nature of the particular spiritual teaching they're given over. Now, that is going to be highly relevant because if you remember in our very first class, I pointed out how really the Torah moves us throughout its teachings towards the full blossoming of love, for the full blossoming of life in its fullness, which has so much to do with love. And so it's obvious that these great ancestors are here to guide us in that path. And each of them in their relationship with their spouse, we're going to discover, is expressing a certain aspect, a different level of the nature of the husband and wife relationship. So let's dig into that. We're going to begin with Avraham. Avraham is the manifestation of love. This, the prophet Isaiah, Yeshayahu, says, Avraham Ohavi. He doesn't say that, not about Isaac, not about Jacob. He says about Avraham, you are my lover. You're the one who loves me. What is this about Avraham that reflects love? And how will this help us in our understanding of our love relationships? So the first thing you need to know about Avraham is that he's the embodiment of God's chesed. Chesed is the overflow of existence, the desire of existence to share itself, which is a pretty, abstracted way of describing something which I think all of us experience. I seek to share life. I seek to give over what I have to others so that they can also be blessed with the same thing that I experience. I'm looking to move beyond my boundaries. I'm looking to share that which is in me with others. And that kind of becoming a giver, that kind of becoming one who just seeks out of just an experience of the fullness of life and of existence, to share it with others, that experiences that sharing in no way impinges upon my experience of that. The opposite, it becomes something which even augments my experience of love and life. And therefore, I'm always seeking to share with others that. That's called chesed. And it's a creative power. That's why Avraham's name actually is an anagram for a word that's in the second chapter of Bereshit, where it says that God, when he made the world, Bihi Bar'am, as things were being created, Bihi Bar'am is Avraham, meaning that there's a creative power here, looking to see others more alive by virtue of what I can share with them. Now, this is something which in the world of Avraham is a very universal kind of a drive. It's not something which is delineated, and as we're going to see in a moment, it's a bit to a fault. But I want for us to just right now be in this orientation, the orientation of Avraham, and understand that this is the beginning, primary level of becoming a creature of love. And it begins for us in the mother-infant relationship. I mean, the infant is obviously not thinking analytically, but is experiencing a mother who is feeding him or her. That nursing, although the infant is not yet able to delineate between his own identity and his mother's, obviously, is experiencing really an at oneness with his mother in that nursing, and cries when there's an experience of the distance. Now, there's much to explore here psychologically, but I'm looking for us to recognize how that kind of maternal connection, which begins in the womb and continues through that infancy, is something which is a kind of a bonding together, which is a bonding which is the most primal level that we begin with in love relationship. It's there. It's there in all of us. There's a more inner aspect of this in our coming from the single, unified God, the divine, which has no boundaries and who is the being of all things. But in our psychology of our existence in this body, so we first experience that very, very early on. And it's difficult to recover for some people if they didn't experience it, but they can because of that spiritual substrate that I just described, even if it's not something you experienced in your infancy that way. You experienced it in the womb. And if you didn't experience it in the womb for whatever reason, then you know it as a soul which has come from the divine and as a part of the divine. So this is something which leads us to experience others as being part of our own existence. And therefore, as I said before, invites us to and motivates us to share life and share goodness with others. It's all one and all part of the one. This is the world of Avraham. That's the consciousness that he has, I just described. And as I said before, it is possible to take this to a fault. And in fact, Sarah, his wife, criticizes him, because God says to Avraham when she is childless, God says to Avraham, I'm going to give you progeny from Sarah. And Avraham says, well, Yishmael, let him just stay alive. Later, Sarah comes to him and she says, I've got an argument against you, and she says it actually more fiercely than that. How could you overlook me? I am your wife. I'm the one with whom you've made a covenant from your very beginnings. I've been with you. She's pointing at the specific connection, but Avraham's consciousness is in the sharing of life. What difference does it make if that life has come through his concubine Hagar or comes through Sarah? It's fine. In fact, he even calls Sarah Ahoti, my sister. Incredible. I mean, obviously there's all kinds of things to explore in terms of the biblical story there, but I think he, on a certain level, he actually sees her that way. You see, the word achot is actually based on the same root for the word echad. It's a bonding together, an achot. It's like the first family relationship you experience. It's the first relationship with your mother that you experience of that kind of at oneness, which begins so much at the very beginning for us. You see, this orientation of seeking to share life because we are all one, that I step beyond the boundaries which my individuated self experiences because I experience life as one. That's the world of Avraham. And I think it's important for us to not be afraid to be in touch with that, even though there are things which can go wrong by being in that. For sure, you can end up, in all kinds of situations where you're giving to the wrong person, or you're being taken advantage of, or you miss the point about the specific and separated intimate relationship that you have with someone because you're so universally open. There are many things that can go wrong with this, and they're worth exploring on their own. But right now, I just want to talk about what can go right with this, right? This is a foundational point. And it's very, very beautiful that the verse in the Song of Songs, which has the lover knocking on the door of his beloved, and saying to her, open up for me, open up for me. The first word he uses is open up for me, achoti, my sister. Later he'll say, my beloved, my faithful dove, my twin, my perfect one, right? He'll get to the more romantic words later. But it begins with a kind of a rather unromantic word. You're my sister, right? And it's beautiful just to know about that. There's a part of relationships of love which experiences at the most primal level this undifferentiated experience of like, wow, yeah, you're really familiar to me. I remember that in my love life, and I've heard it from others too, this kind of experience. I don't know, I'm just comfortable with her, right? Or I like listening to him. There's something familiar about it, right? Before people get more into the differentiation, et cetera, which we'll get to when we move along, right? But right now, yeah, that's a nice beginning point. And it's something to also recall sometimes in terms as a resource in reinvigorating a love life. But as I say, that's really part of the pragmatics, which deserve their own attention. But right now, I just want for us to understand this profound wisdom that's in the Song of Songs and is paralleled in the way the great sages, our patriarchs, are going to be lined up for us as this class unfolds, and you'll see how what Isaac brings and what Jacob brings and what Israel brings as we move along the way. But right now, let's stay here. And here's what I'd like to offer us as a practice. And before we do it in a meditation, I want to send you with this homework for invigorating and awakening this aspect of achoti. To look around you at the people that you meet, that you're in contact with, that you're in relationship with, and to seek to get in touch with that just kind of basic commonality of existence, of being, of yesh, as it's called in Hebrew. And here's a practice to do, besides it being a consciousness orientation. Give people blessings. Yeah. Give people something that's a gift to them. You know, Avraham is actually identified as the one from whom all of humanity will be blessed. You can see why that would be him. It's not said about Yitzchak, about Isaac, or about Jacob. All of humanity is blessed because when you're in touch with this yesh, this beingness and existence, then the experience of your commonality with all of existence becomes all the more augmented. This is called being a chassid, not in the sense that's now used of the students of the Baal Shem Tov or something. No, this is a much more ancient word. It has to do with being a lover of life. So find ways that you can bless someone, and it doesn't have to be, I hereby bless you. It can be a smile. It can be a kind word. It can be, if you want to get better, pointing out a particular characteristic or trait that someone has and telling them how nice it is for you to see that in them, how inspiring it is for you, how much you learn from it, however intense you want to get. And if it's a passing event, like you're just, going to pay the cashier, perhaps a smile or an extra special thank you could be an opportunity for giving that person a blessing, because a blessing doesn't necessarily only mean that I'm saying something which will augment a power in them, which is the basic meaning of it, but rather I am doing something which augments a power in them. So if I'm grateful to the way they related to me, whatever it was that they did, gave me the right change, then I can, in that way, bless them by augmenting a certain power in them just by my attitude, right? This is an orientation in life and in living, which is the orientation of Avraham, who seeks the blessing of all. You wonder, oh my gosh, what happened between him and Sarah? Well, we'll get to that next time, because he's going to need to enter into the world of boundaries and specificity, which has to do with his son Isaac, Yitzchak. But let's wait with that and not be afraid to truly be connected to this power of chesed, this power of achoti, my sister, this power of Avraham, as our first movement into the augmentation, the enlargement, and the blessing of love. Today we're going to be doing a meditation of chesed, the overflow that comes to share life. Let yourself now just calm and relax in whatever place you are sitting. Appreciate this moment now of a simple, joyous presence. Feel your bottom sitting on the chair, your feet comfortably resting on the ground, your hands comfortably alongside your body or on your thighs, your head slightly tilted upwards, your shoulders slightly leaning back. Take a nice deep breath, feeling the air pass through your nostrils, entering your lungs, pushing your stomach out, feeling full, satiated with its presence. And now releasing any tension together with the air. Take a few regular breaths, following them as they go in and out. Feel the space opening up inside your body, the volume of space in your feet, your hands, and your torso. Feel the volume of space opening between your eyes and eyebrows, all the muscles of your forehead unraveling and resting. Let your scalp feel relaxation. That's what you're here for now. Accept this simple being as the simple existence called Yesh. Allow your thoughts to simply dissipate, perhaps noticing them for a moment and then letting go. Feel a beautiful ray of light shining down towards your face, brightening it with its kind and warm generosity. Sense how that light surrounds you, envelops you with a kind and compassionate presence. Sense how that light shining down fills far beyond the room you're in, fills the space around you, extending outwards from your home, touching everyone it meets along the way, being filled with this sharing of life that's glowing down now, filling the earth with its compassionate presence. Imagine different creatures receiving this light, sensing life shared with them equally, lovingly. Perhaps the trees in the breeze. Perhaps the birds in the air. Perhaps the ground that serves all, receiving this light of existence. Human beings opening now to know how all life shares this existence of Yesh, shared with chesed, with loving kindness. Imagine all open to that. The birds that are chirping, human beings that are speaking, the horses that are neighing, Their sounds themselves a sharing of existence and the love of life. Turn to yourself now and experience yourself as being source of life and love, beaming out from you. Let random events come up in your imagination that are yet to come or have been, situations in which you experienced sharing this kindness of chesed, and experiences yet to come where you can see yourself smiling, sharing that life force, looking into someone's eyes, sharing that life, looking kindly upon an animal, sharing that life, sensing how the bird chirping is sharing that life, and your response to it is itself a sharing back. Feel yourself as this source for all of life, as Hashem's sharing of life with chesed flows through you. Join Avraham in that service to creation of being a chassid, a lover and sharer of life. Send blessing out, that all be blessed by you, as you yourself are blessed. And when you feel ready, come back to the simple presence of your body and your mind. Here, now, breathe that in, and when you breathe out, open your eyes with a look of love at all that surrounds you, sensing that in your being conscious of them itself, give them sense their response to that. Feel that blessing intensely. Walk through life with this in the coming days, using this meditation daily to prepare yourself for this life of blessing.